Welcome back, everybody. I am Jason. Hello. I don't know what I was doing with my hands there. This is Pig's Eye Pottery. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you. Today, I am going to be tearing through a quick explanation of how I make these little stash jar vessel-y things. Some of you highfalutin types out there that do a lot of cooking and know your way around all the fancy fun kitchen gear. You could use them as salt cellars. They're pretty adorable. It's a very, it can be a challenging form to make. It is a lidded jar that is a closed form. So I'm going to be walking through really quickly how I make them, what I'm thinking, and the processes and little steps. And then I'm also going to be following this video up with another video of me just quietly making a bunch of them, so you don't have to listen to this rambling. That way you can kind of catch the flow of them. And actually, spoiler-ish, I already made that video, and if you stay to the end, I completely screw one up, and it's tons of fun. And then I just euthanize it and just throw it well, that's a messed up way to say it, but I just throw it into my little reclaim bucket that's down here. So, anyways, thank you for joining. Pound and a half of clay smashed onto the wheel. Gonna get this clay centered. Again, I hope you all find some value in this, in these videos. I really appreciate it. I was just looking yesterday. I think this is gonna be video number 52 and 53. If you dig this, subscribe and like and share and hit the notifications thing so that it lets you know when I upload new content. I'm full-blown in the flow here at my new home studio that is out in the country, hence this giant outbuilding. So yeah, I'll keep the content coming. Let me know what you want to see. So clay is centered, pound and a half. I'm going to drop the well. I'm going to go pretty deep. I'm going to get pretty close to the wheel head, and then I'm going to drag my thumbs out as I'm pushing this ring of clay down, because I want this floor of this little jar to be as close to parallel to the wheel head as possible. I don't really trim feet on these vessels as of right now. I just kind of have them sit flat. So yeah, don't need a lot of material down there. I'm going to incorporate this wooden rib tool because I want to really compress the floor of the pot, and so I'm just going to push it back and forth from the inside out to compress that clay. And I also like this, what I assume is a 90-degree angle. I like that angle from the floor to the wall. So I'm going to leverage the tool to sort of establish that angle right there. I dig putting little points of interest in weird places, so I'm going to just take my thumb and add a little subtle swirl. And then the next thing I'm going to do is get my hands really wet, and I'm actually going to kind of collar this ring of clay in a little bit, because the pulls, I'm going to gradually be working my way to the middle, because I'm going to eventually close this form. With these forms, I am not trying to get these walls to be kind of uniform as far as thickness is concerned the whole way up. I'm leaving a little extra clay down here, and I'm tapering up as I go, because if I were to make this level of clay thinner, like the top is, as soon as I start trying to collar it in and close the form at the top, I would create a ton of tension down here. I'm going to save that for the end until the entire form is pretty well closed off. I'm going to collar this in just a tiny bit more because I really want to control the clay coming in. And then as I grab the clay and do the pull up, I'm tapering in this rim, contrary to other forms that I make where I leave a thicker rim. I'm going to really get that rim thin at the top here. And my outside hand is doing all the work and pushing in. Really gently, crazy slow, breathing the whole time. Pretty important. I realized I teach a bunch of classes at my gallery and studio in St. Paul, and I realized that in watching myself throw pots, which is super, for me it's uncomfortable, that I hold my breath quite a bit. So all the things I've been telling students of mine for years, or participants in the classes, that they should, relax and take the tension out of blah blah blah, and don't hold their breath. I do all of those things. So anyways, been working on that. So this next couple pulls or next couple moves, I'm going to collar this clay in. As you collar the clay in, at least in my interpretation of it, the clay seems to want to torque a little bit, and you'll get kind of like wavy wobbliness happening. So I'm going to collar in just a little bit, leave enough room for a finger, like one of my digits to get in there, like that. And then I'm going to come back through and compress. I'm not really doing a pull necessarily. I'm just compressing the walls to get that sort of buckling feature out of the clay. Sometimes when you make these forms, when they dry, you will get and I'm sure a lot of you have seen them, those S cracks on the underside of the lid. It's because you've trapped a lot of potential energy, as far as a lot of like twisted potential energy in there. As it dries, it wants to start coming undone. You might get S cracks. I'll show you in a future video of how I think I help kind of mitigate those. So all I'm doing is with my fingertips, just pushing that clay in and joining it at the top right there. Okay, so this is a closed form now. There is air inside of there. When it comes to shaping with these rib tools, the air inside there is going to provide some resistance, so I can do some more, somewhat not aggressive, but like a little bit more bolder moves, and not really have to worry about it collapsing in on itself. So I'm just with my left hand. Sorry, dog's over on the couch and he's dreaming. It's adorable. I don't know if you can hear that. With my left hand, I'm just maintaining the sort of perimeter of the piece, and with this rib tool, I'm pushing that soon-to-be lid down into the shape that I'm going for. Try not to go too far, and again, I'm kind of zoning out and just eyeballing the dimensions that I'm going for there. So, okay, it's a decent start. Next, I want to work on these walls. I am actually going to use this straight edge, which I am not going to be doing in the video that I already made, but that I'm going to post in the future, on the sides here, because I do want to square this up a little bit and bring some of that clay in and just compress those walls. With these forms, there's going to be a fun little trick coming up to make basically to make that channel that are in the side of the forms. I want to, anytime I take my tool away from this form or whatever, I want to be very careful. I'm doing it really slowly. I want this form as close to centered as possible. I don't want there to be a whole lot of wobbling happening. And so now that I've kind of compressed it in a little bit, and I've got the general shape I'm going for, now I'm going to try and zhuzh it up a little bit. I do like them kind of, I'm currently making them where they kind of bow in a little bit, so I'm going to give it kind of a waist down here. Just moving that tool around, seeing what happens. I do not like symmetry or, uniform kind of surfaces, so I like adding some tool marks in there. I also think it looks kind of interesting to do sort of like little wavy elements to it. These are all just matters of preference. It's just what I like to do. Adding kind of a weird little feature on the rim there. I kind of dig it, not too bad, whatever. So these edges, these little burrs of clay, I'm not going to worry about that till it's bone dry, until I trim it. I'm going to trim a little bit of clay away from the outside here, and I also don't. When I'm an undercut, I kind of want it to have a little bit of a weight. I want it to lift up. I want it to, there to be a little bit of a shadow there, and I want it to lift up off the table. And I'm also going to kind of mess with the tool. I kind of pushed out a little bit to give it sort of that waviness down at the bottom. Now here's the next fancy part. Flathead screwdriver. This is a little old rusty chisel. I'm gonna clean that off really well, make sure there's some good moisture on there. Use 2 hands, and I'm just gonna push this in to create the channel that we will eventually carve away. Like that. You will learn, as I learned earlier today, that you can definitely go too far and the whole thing collapses, or you can not go far enough, and then it's just a whole hot mess of trimming later on down the road. But that channel, what's going to happen is when this is leather hard, I'm going to use a little knife, and I'm going to carve the clay away, or I'm going to carve the lid away from the base right here, underneath this ridge. I'll need to clean that up a little bit, and then the lid should just nest right on this this kind of inner lip there. You have air trapped in here. As your pot dries, as all of you or many of you or whatever know, it shrinks. The air that is trapped in there, if you don't give it a way to get out, it may or may not, most likely will, bust your pot. So I'm going to use this pin tool, and since I'm going to trim away underneath this lip anyway, I don't care if I put a little hole right there for air to get out of. Then, a little water, garrote, slide it off the wheel, just like that. So yeah, rustic little salt cellar stash box thing. I appreciate you all tuning in per usual. Thank you so much for your support. If you dig this, like, subscribe, share, hit the notifications, yada, yada, yada. And then again, if you want to extend some support to the channel, which I would absolutely appreciate, and I absolutely do appreciate, there are ways to support the channel down in the description. Thank you, as usual. I appreciate you all sincerely. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and please be awesome to each other. Thank you.